Good morning and welcome to the first meeting of the Stewartry Area Committee in 2025. I would let you know at this point that this area committee meeting will be live streamed on Teams and that a recording will be available shortly online after the finish of the meeting. Members may notice that when calling members to speak, I will refer to them formally and using their title, e.g. Councillor Smith, so that it is clear who are councillors and who, by the process of elimination, are officers. Remote participants, please follow the good practice guidance, which includes muting microphones and switching off your video when you are not addressing the meeting, writing speak in the Teams chat function when you want to contribute. If you are in the hall, you can do this on your iPhone or iPad. Please don't repeat contributions already made by other members. No material should be posted in the chat function if it's intended as part of the discussion. The usual standing orders apply, including that any votes will be undertaken by roll call. If any members have to leave the meeting, please either leave the Teams meeting for that period of time or leaving the Teams chat function and then join when you rejoin the meeting so we can keep track on whether the meeting is quorate. All members should speak clearly, taking their time and speaking directly into the microphone when making contributions. When referring to reports, please provide reference to the relevant page and paragraph to allow everyone to follow. Please focus contributions on areas where clarification is required or to propose alternatives to a recommendation. This morning we have Stuart Walker, Ward Youth Councillor in the room, as well as Harvey Sutton, Ward Youth Councillor as well. So both of you, welcome. Moving on to item 1, Cedron apologies and Chair's approval of members' remote participation. Could I ask the clerk, Claire Rogerson, for the Cedron apologies and which members are in the room and those linking by Microsoft Teams, please. I can confirm my agreement to the remote participation.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. I can confirm we've got 8 members present this morning. 1 member currently not present, being Councillor Blake. We've got 5 members present at our road, being the Chair, the Vice Chair, Councillors Lowe, McFarlane and Stitt. 3 members present on Teams, being Councillors Campbell, Howie and Young. And as the Chair has indicated, we've got 2 youth councillors present in the room. Thank you.
Councillor Blake has sent his apologies. Is that correct? Item 2, declarations of interest. Do members have any statement of connection or declaration of interest to declare based on the definition? 1, statement of connection. For transparency reasons, members may wish to make a public statement. Declaration of interest, members were now required to leave the meeting for that item. Okay. Item 3, minutes of previous meeting held 6th of November 2025. Members are asked to note these minutes. Happy to note, members? Okay, thank you. Item 4, Police Scotland Stewartry Area Performance Report, 1st of April 2024 to 30th of September 2024. Report by Head of Thriving Communities. Our first performance report is the Police Scotland Area Performance Report, 1st of April to September 2024. A warm welcome to Chief Inspector Emma Dodds, and just to say it's great to see a reappearance of the police report to this area committee. Members always welcome these reports as they help us address constituents' questions and concerns and support our partners from Police Scotland and our local communities. This report is caveated with the reminder that percentages can be skewed by the small numbers involved in the data. The appendix is very clearly laid out, offering figures, some percentages and comparators with previous years. I know members also feel that it would possibly also be helpful to get comparators with other areas of D&G or with national averages just to complete the picture. I'm sure members will welcome the report and the amount of local detail and will have questions to help unpack some of the data contained in the appendix. Chief Inspector Emma Dodds, Police Scotland, is here to answer any questions. Is there anything you would like to add, Inspector?
Good morning, everyone, and it's really good to be here after what I know has been a prolonged period of time that there's not been a report, so I'm glad that we're now in a position to be able to present that to yourselves. What I would like to do, as it's the first one, I'm not going to give any update as such because I'd like to know from yourselves what you would like, and it's just really to open it to questions in the first instance, just so I know what I can do to improve my report going forward.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Councillor Stitt.
Thanks very much, Chair. Just page 21, I'd like to comment. It's good to see the supply of drugs and possession of drugs. The figures are right down, but it's quite alarming to see there's still 21 drug-related deaths. And on page 22, Emma, the first three items, dangerous driving, careless driving, driving under the influence, they're still quite high figures, and it seems the public don't seem to learn and listen.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. So if we go with the drugs deaths, yes, any death is really unfortunate to see, and it is something that we work with all our partners to try and do that preventative part of that one. In respect of the roads traffic offences, you mentioned dangerous driving and careless driving. That is one of the target areas we are, as Police Scotland, trying to head to, because it has been linked to, unfortunately, some of the serious injury and fatal road traffic collisions that we've had. So we do make targeted patrols in that area. Driving under influence, that includes both alcohol and drugs, and there has been an increase in this area, which on one part you're absolutely right, it does show that messaging unfortunately is perhaps not getting out to the public, but it also shows the proactivity that we're doing in this area, because those will be proactive stops, whether it be from the policing side or that we're getting information in from the community in order us to target the people that are causing most harm. So yes, the figure has gone up in that one, Councillor, but in the other half it's the good part of it, because we're getting that information in to be able to act on it.
Thanks very much.
Yep. Thank you. Councillor Drysdale.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much, Chief Inspector Dodds. It's a really good report, and it's great to see this coming back to the committee, so thank you. It was just on the back of Councillor Stitt's comments. On page 22, we see the driving under the influence figures at an increase of 37.9%. And I just wanted to make the committee aware that we have lost another taxi driver at the moment in Castle Douglas, and we are hearing from a lot of young people that they're, and actually middle-aged people, and elderly I'm sure as well, going out and finding that they cannot get a taxi home at the moment in the Stewartry. It's a very common occurrence. So I was just wondering, through yourself, Chair, if we could ask Harry Hay, head of this committee at the Council, if we can have some sort of report back as to the initiatives the Council are taking to help us ensure that we have got enough taxis in the area. I know it's up to members of the public to apply for a taxi licence should they wish to drive and offer such a service, but I was wondering if there's some sort of initiative we can take to help people in the Stewartry, as it's very important that people are able to get out and about, especially at weekends, but at other times. We're going into the spring and the summer, so if there's anything we can do through ourselves as councillors in the Council, I think it'd be very much welcomed within our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Drysdale, for raising that important point. Chief Inspector Dodds, do you have any comment? Or Jamie? Jamie?
Yes, happy to take that one back as an action. I think what I'm hearing is the question is around, is there anything that the Council can proactively do to support the kind of supply of the availability of taxis in this area? Certainly take that back, and we'll take it as an action if that's okay, and update.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor McFarlane.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thanks, Emma, for the report. Going back to page 21, the drug supply and drug possession charges. I mean, the fact that there's zero drug supply charges. Drugs is one of these things that low figures might seem good, but maybe it's just that we're not finding them, and high figures might seem good because we're catching them, but we're still not getting to the bottom of it. So I always find drugs figures a wee bit difficult to sort of interpret and understand. So, you know, the fact that there's no drug supply charges, is that a good or a bad thing? You know, are we still being proactive? Are we still getting out there and actually doing the stops and searches and acting on the intelligence that might be available? So there's that one. And then in relation to the frauds, we had a chat with some of the senior officers who cover the west of Scotland, and one of the things that they were saying is that frauds, you know, were increasing significantly, and that the numbers that were being reported clearly weren't an accurate representation of the true figure, because not everybody that gets duped realises it or reports it, sort of thing. So I'm just wondering if you've got a view on that. Thank you.
Chief Inspector Dodds, would you like to respond?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Councillor. You're quite right that the drugs figures can, depending on how you look at them, tell different things. But I think the important thing for me to put across is that proactivity is still happening in this area. I did check before I come out. We have done a number of warrants with regards to the drug supply side of it. And obviously, as you know, what we rely on with regards to that is the intelligence coming in, the community intelligence, and that is still coming in. And sometimes you're right, this is a picture in time of 6 months, and next month it could be something totally different. So we are still, it is still the main factor that we go in, because we know that the issue that drugs can cause in our community from a whole lot of different levels, just not on the health side, but also on the crime side. But we are still being proactive, and there are still warrants being carried out in our area to try and target those that we are getting the information from. So I hope that gives you some support that we are still looking at it. And that is the same for the drugs possession as well. Again, it's based on intelligence, it is based on proactivity and stop search, and we are continuing to do it. It's just we get so much information in for the community, which is really good, and it is just about us continuing to act on that, and that is an area that we're going to look at going forward. In respect of your question about the fraud, we do know that there's a whole different reasons why people potentially don't want to come forward. Sometimes it's because they don't want to feel that they have been a victim of a fraud. It can be that they don't want to come forward in respect of they feel foolish in some way, and that should never be the case. The figures for ourselves have gone down. Am I able to categorically say that's because we know about them all? I would suggest potentially, but I don't have all the figures, but we can only go on what we are. But the other side to that one is that we are trying to be as proactive as we can with having talks to local community groups. We are doing issues through the schools to talk about. It's mainly the cyber fraud that comes in just now. So we are trying to put all those messages out. So I would hope that is also helping us see the downward trend in it. But as you'll know, Councillor, there's no way I can definitively say whether or not we are getting them all in, but it's something that we know we have to keep working on with our partners to put the messaging out.
Do you want to reply, Councillor McFarlane?
Not to reply, no, thanks, Emma. And really, it's just to sort of put that out there, the fact that we are still, you know, being proactive in relation to the information that's coming in, we're acting on it, and as a consequence, it's as accurate a figure as we can actually get at the moment. Can I just go back to page 21, because when I read the sort of sentences underneath the table, they don't seem for me to sort of tie in, so I would be grateful if you could help me understand. Saying drug supply charges have increased by 5 in the previous year due to date, but when you look at drug supply, you know, the figures, I can't make sense of it, so I don't know if it's just me or if it's perhaps a typo. And it's the same with the drug possession charges, so as I say, I don't know if it's me or just a typo. Thanks.
No, Councillor, it's absolutely not yourself. That is an error in the data that was put across, so I can confirm that the figures at the top are accurate, so the numbers are accurate. It's the contextual part at the bottom of it. So just to sort of confirm, the drug supply charges have decreased by 2 on the previous year to date and reduced by 2 in the 5-year average, and the drugs possession, the differences is 31 and 40, so it is just, it's been an accounting problem rather than an actual wrong figure, so I do apologise for that.
Okay. Satisfied with that? Thank you. Councillor Lowe.
Thank you, and good morning, and thank you for being here. Are there any differences in the sort of tolerances for sort of breathalyzer and drug wipes and stuff between England and Scotland? So I'm just wondering, with us being the first sort of region in Scotland, whether we pick up on the fact that people come up from England and they drive away and they don't necessarily realise any differences.
Thanks for your question, Councillor. That there is a difference in relation to the alcohol level between England and Scotland, and it is one of those things that there has to be a responsibility on a driver as well to know what the differences are depending on where they're going. In relation to the drugs aspect to it, the offence is to basically be either unfit through drink or drugs, or the new aspect of the legislation is to have drugs that's within your system, which I think you mentioned there, the drug wipe aspect of it. So there is no limit as such, it's the indicator, and then also gets sent off for lab analysis to then come back to tell us what it is. So there is a difference in alcohol, there isn't a difference as such with regards to drugs.
And what is the difference numerically?
For ourselves, I believe they're still on the older version, as I could say, so it's 10 micrograms, so it's a difference of 10 between where they are in England and ourselves, unless England has changed, but I don't believe they have, but that's my understanding.
Thank you. Councillor Drysdale.
Thank you, Chair. Just one last question. I see on page 20 that assault is put into 3 different sectors. So there's serious assault, common assault, and then again, common assault. So it was just to ask, do you get figures from schools if there's serious harassment and bullying, if a child has been assaulted in a school? Are these figures encompassed in here? I just wondered how the schools report, or does that only happen if they go through police and involve the police within the school? Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
In respect of the school aspect, Councillor, it depends on whether the school informs us of it. I would suggest if it's something as much as a serious assault, or if it's something that is a serious assault is something where there's going to be a scar or some long-term injury or notification that something has happened. A common assault can be is the lower end of the scale. Sometimes you may find in schools that the schools will deal with it within their own grounds, which they're entitled to do as such, as long as that everybody that's involved is happy with that outcome. So it can be my understanding that the schools may deal with it, depending on we think it's at a level that would be appropriate, and if not, we will get called in as the police to deal with it in a more criminal aspect. So the school has the choice, and do the parents have the choice as to who they want to involve.
Thank you very much. That's helpful. So do you think, from a police's perspective, that the parents are carers of said children or child are involved enough in the decision-making process if something does happen to a child? And do you think there's enough going on in schools through the youth work teams and the school support and advisory teams to help children deal with the psychological trauma of any sorts of assaults as well as the physical injuries? Thank you, and that's my last question. Thanks a lot.
Chief Inspector.
In respect of, we have our own youth engagement officers in the majority of the schools, especially in the secondary schools, so they will be aware of potentially what is going on that may not come officially onto what is the police systems. In respect of the information that's being put out, I really can't speak on behalf of education, but I know they work really closely with the partner agencies and ourselves to try and help people that have been either the victim or potentially assailants of assault to get that message in across. And I would hope that parents feel that they have the choice to be able to go to whatever agency they feel is best to be able to provide what they need for their child. Yeah.
Thank you for
Councillor
letting me.
Lowe.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me back in. I was also going to ask, obviously this would have to be slightly historic, but where do we stand, say, against similar regions of some urban and mostly rural in terms of benchmarking, say, per 1,000 of population for some of our figures? Are we low, or is there some way that we can detect that we are, whilst no crime is good, that we are low against an average, or no, an average for a similar region?
Thanks for your question, Councillor. I wouldn't be able to give you a definitive. What we do is we deal with our own figures as such. We don't continually make a comparison to other areas. As I said, so I couldn't give you an exact answer on that one and how we compare, although I do know that from a V Division perspective, if we're talking within Police Scotland, that our detection figures are one of the highest for the forces.
Can I just ask our youth councillors, our representatives, if you have any comments or views you would like to share?
In relation to the cases of things such as bullying and assault within schools, there's not just the school's independent groups to handle this. There is also the youth work information workers who are present in the schools, and they are equally trained to handle the same cases. So it might be worth additionally getting in contact with them for relevant information, as well as the council noting that that is another option that a lot of pupils themselves tend to go into, rather than parents interacting with the school to bring in contact with the police and any external people. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Anyone online? Okay. We will now move to the recommendations. Members are asked to scrutinise the performance report for Stewartry from Police Scotland for the period 1st of April 2024 to the 30th of September 2024, as detailed in the appendix. Are members happy to agree the recommendation? Thank you for joining us this morning, Chief Inspector Dodds. Next item is item 5, Scottish Fire and Rescue Services Stewartry Area Performance Report, 1st of April 2024 to 30th September 2024. We now turn to the Scottish Fire and Rescue Services Performance Report. As usual, this report contains a lot of good information at a Stewartry level. I'm particularly encouraged to read about the 22% reduction of incidents across Stewartry and the huge 57% decrease of deliberate fire setting on the same period last year, no doubt due to some of the upstream educational work carried out by fire and rescue. It is reassuring to see that the number of road traffic collisions attended in this reporting period remain low and have reduced from 6 to 5. It is encouraging also to hear that Dumfries and Galloway continues to be among the best performing areas in Scotland. Thanks again for the detail in the report, and I'll pass over to members to Chris Ross. Station Commander is available to answer members' questions and comments. Members, any comments? And also, Chris, is there anything you would like to add to the report? No? In that case, members, any questions or comments? Councillor Stitt.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks for the report, Chris. Just one thing, Chris. I noticed on page 46 now, in your on-call retained duties, just a percentage. Is there some areas where you're still struggling to recruit? Just for a matter of interest.
Morning, Councillor. You're right. There is still some areas we struggle to recruit, particularly around New Galloway and Gatehouse. They're small communities. We actively do our best to encourage anyone who is interested at all just to pop along the station. There is usually a poster for information up there, and they're more than welcome to come along on any drill night, speak to a watch commander or any member of staff that they know and see if it's a good fit for them. And we do what's called a suitability meeting where we deem whether the role as an on-call firefighter is indeed fit for the person, or if the person is fit for us. It's a huge responsibility. It's a welcome responsibility, but yeah, there is a couple of areas we still struggle, but we're still working away. But hopefully over time we'll get there.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, Councillor Drysdale.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chris, for the report. It was just a couple of things. Firstly, well done on the initiative at the weekend to raise money for, I think, the Firefighters Benevolent Fund. It was a great event for car washing to help people in the area. So I think a huge amount was raised, nearly £1,000. So well done on that initiative. I just wanted to speak through this committee and through yourself, Chair, about Priority 7. We obviously have had a huge increase across the region, and in fact the UK, since COVID, of people using water for outdoor activities, and we've all been quite aware as councillors as to the water safety management plans that have been put up around Lough Ken, and I know you've been very active in that sector with regards to working with Martin Ogilvie, and it's a cross sector operation when there are any water safety related incidents. Now, this is not in this report, but on page 29 in priority 7, there's Operation Resilience and Preparedness. And for example, in at the Carling Walk Loch in Castle Douglas, we are in discussions with various groups about how we can ensure that the water safety going forward in the spring and the summer, we have those similar, we're trying to work towards discussing having similar signage, because you were extremely helpful with Martin and the police because of what happened on the loch, and we need to make sure that children and all people are safe when dealing with cold water shock. So I wanted to ask you a few questions. Do the police and the fire have the long ropes to help people get out of the water? Because we see a decrease in boys. You know, they're not deemed to be safe anymore because they're dangerous to throw and can hit people. So we're just wondering if that's something that's carried. I'm assuming it is. Mountain Rescue yourselves and the police carry those ropes. If not, can we have some sort of indication going forward about how many water incidences you and the Mountain Rescue teams do attend? Because we are seeing so many more people using our lochs and waterways. So it was just really to get some more feedback on that. But thank you for the rest of the report. It's really helpful, and the hard work you do. Thanks.
Please.
Right, okay, thank you, Councillor. All appliances and officers' vehicles all have floating throw lines on the motors. And obviously we have, at Dumfries and Newton Stewart, we do have dedicated water rescue teams with boats and vehicles that are suitably equipped. We have a really good relationship. It's maybe not so suitable for here, but with Nithen Shore Rescue, Coast Guard, we're working really well with our partner agencies and obviously Police Scotland. But I'll take on your request about further information on water-related incidents. We still do get a few water-related, certainly more so in the Nith. It seems to be a bit of a draw for people, but I'll see if we can add it to future reports, for instance.
That's really helpful. Thank you very much, Chair. Thanks, Chris.
Are there any other comments or questions from members? We do online. Councillor Young.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for this excellent report. I just wanted to praise the presentation of this report. It's wonderful to see trend lines going back several years, so we can see what's actually happening and if things are gradually improving or otherwise. So I just wanted to highlight my praise for this very full and comprehensive report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Are there any other? Yep, Councillor McFarlane.
Yeah, not really a question, more of a comment. It's interesting your unwanted fire alarms and how they've gone down. It just looks at how you've looked at the process and what the problem was and how you've actually come up with a solution in relation to that, which reduces your demand. So I think that's excellent. And also there's some of the work that you've done around deliberate fire setting, working with the schools and such like. And it's clear to see that in years to come you're going to make yourself redundant.
Thank you, Councillor. You're right. We're always looking at reduction in operational incidents. So whether it is the reduction in UFAS, which has been a success over the last year or so, it has reduced the number of blue light drives that we need to take, and it also keeps the members of the public safe because obviously we're driving quite large vehicles at speed, and it does put that ownership back onto these building owners and occupiers to ensure that their fire safety risk assessment is up to date. And you're right as well that the amount of work that my colleagues in the community action team do with going out to schools and youth work and the run up to holiday periods, and they discuss things around deliberate fire setting, it really does make a difference. It does get that message out there, and then on the occasions it doesn't, then they can follow up with more directed an approach.
Good. We covered everybody? No further questions or comments? We'll now move to recommendations. Members are asked to scrutinise the report, performance report for Stewartry from the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service for the period of 1st of April 2024 to the 30th of September 2024 as detailed in the appendix. Are members happy to agree the recommendation? Thank you. Thank you, Chris. And we look forward to seeing you at the next meeting. Do we want to take a short comfort break? No. Just carry on? Okay. Item 6, 2024 to 2025 assessment, 1st of April 24 to the 31st of December 2024, a Thriving Community Service Plan for 2024 to 2025, report by Head of Thriving Communities. We now turn to the Thriving Communities Service Plan, 1st of April to the 31st of December 2024. Members will again be pleased to see the amount of detail disaggregated to Stewartry area level. I'm pleased to see mention of some of the major events in Stewartry, as these mean a lot to our local communities and local businesses. I'm also delighted that Kukubri Gallery's exhibition programme was successful in being advanced to signature event status for 2025 to 2026 onwards. It is good to see emerging detail about some of the 14 local place plans being developed here in the Stewartry. I am aware that our communities put a great deal of effort into these plans, and there are around 50 of these in progress across the region currently. It's heartening to know that we have 20 community councils with 146 community councillors across Stewartry working to support their communities and represent the views of local residents. And I'm delighted to see young people continue to achieve accreditation for their achievements beyond the school gates and detail of the achievements of our lifelong learners. Steve and Jack is available via Teams to answer members' questions and comments. Members, any questions or comments? Can I just check, Stephen, is there anything that you would like to add to your report?
Thank you, Chair. I've got nothing really to add. I think the report presents quite positively on activities within the Stewartry, so happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. Members, we'll start with Councillor McFarlane.
Morning, Stephen. I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but I'm looking on page 59, 4.5.11, and it talks about the Gralloch and the fact that we've invested £10,000 in it. Do we know what proportion of the overall cost of staging the event that is? Do we know if there was any economic benefit? And do we highlight the fact that the council have put this on, and the fact, I know that the event holders will be required to have a D&G logo on it, but I think we really need some more positive publicity around this, because it's, you know, people are quick to complain about the council, but actually where there's a benefit, I think we should be highlighting it. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor McFarlane. Stephen, would you like to reply?
Yeah, thanks, Councillor McFarlane. Yeah, I don't have the specific detail, but I've made a note of all those elements, and I'll speak to the events officer and send a briefing round all members if that's okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments? Councillor Drysdale.
Thank you very much, Chair. Stephen, just one question. I know that we brought this up at one of the last committees on page 61, the delivering of the Youth Information in Schools project. Can you confirm with me that that is taking inclusive of the sexual health advice and support? I think you've been working on that with the youth teams, because we have a real dearth of it in the region, because the sexual health clinics close at 4:30 at Dumfries Hospital, and young people are not able to attend them on time after school if they don't wish to see their local doctor, or you know, they wish a bit more privacy. So I'm just wondering if at some stage, I think there's possibly a report coming back through yourself, Chair, and Jamie, and yourself, Stephen, could we have some kind of update at the next area committee as to where we are with that, because there's been a real lack of it, unfortunately, in the Stewartry over the last few years. Thank you, Stephen.
Stephen, if you could reply.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chair. No, I'm happy to take that back through Mark and Kelly and the youth work team and make sure that additional information comes back. No problem. Thank you.
Jamie?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll work with Stephen on that to make sure that we get something back on it.
Thank you. We now have one of our youth councillors.
Hello, I was just wondering, once again with agenda item 4.5.8, in regards to the dissemination of information to the youth, would it be possible to have some more information on exactly what information is being provided and how we are doing so for at least the Youth Council, as a lot of that will tie into some of our own agenda and goals for the coming year, and it would be good to work with you a bit more closely on that if possible. Thank you.
Stephen, is there any comment you would like to make?
Oh, we would certainly welcome that joint working, and again, happy to take that back through Mark and Kelly and make sure the connections are made there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Young.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Stephen, for this report. Page 61, 4.5.11, attendances at the swimming pools. In previous reports to this committee, we've always had separate figures for Castle Douglas Pool and Kirkcudbright Pool, and this report seems to lump them together both on page 61 and in the final page, page 70. Now, the attendance figures are very promising, but I think it would be more useful to have separate figures for each pool, because there are different types of pool. One is owned and manned by the council, for the other is, I think the council gives a lump sum of about £20,000 every year, and I know Kirkcudbright also got funding for discretionary funding. I think it's £5,000 to help with their heating costs. Now, obviously, there was a lot of local feeling coming up to the budget process, and the ward councillors were inundated with letters of support for the pool. And there was several years ago now, we're going back probably about 3 years, there was a agreed capital spend to upgrade Castle Douglas swimming pool of, I think it was £1.4 million. And when I asked our ward officer what stage that capital upgrading was at, he said, oh, I think, no, he didn't say I think, he said the upgrade is out for tender. So could we get a report back saying how that upgrade is progressing, and also if it would be good in future reports to separate the figures for Castle Douglas swimming pool and Kirkcudbright swimming pool. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Young.
I think that's a key point raised by Councillor Young. And Stephen, if we could get a reply, please.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion in terms of separating out the attendances. So, I mean, I could get a briefing note arranged. This is a 6-monthly report, obviously, so we could get that split at the moment. And then when the end of year report comes back, we could incorporate in that split and make sure it's in the next report. I did speak to the service manager, Lee Seaton, just about the capital improvement works, and he has reassured that it is progressing through the property team in terms of that process channel. But I could request a briefing note for members just on what specific stage that is, if you would find that helpful. Thank you.
Councillor Young, are you satisfied with that?
Yes, very satisfied, and a briefing note would be very helpful. Thank you.
Councillor McFarlane.
Yeah, thank you. Stephen, I'm looking at pages from 66 onwards, and it's really just about checking the veracity of some of the data that's there. Under point 3 on page 66, SO 3.2 TC, it says that it's about community local place plans, and it says 37% completed progress, and it's saying that we're really on target with that. So it's really just to check that out. right at the bottom of that one, it says deliver youth beats, which obviously isn't a Stewartry specific area for looking at. The one below that under 11, so 11.5, deliver community council elections. It says 71% complete. Is that because of the training that's needed? Because obviously we heard earlier that the community councils have been sorted out. Please bear with me, I'm moving on. Yeah, I'm a wee bit confused on page 69. Halfway down there it says TC SM10. Percentage of income target met generated from community safety, antisocial behaviour detection, but I haven't got a clue what that means, and I'm hoping that you're going to enlighten me. Yeah, thanks, Stephen.
Stephen?
If it's okay, Chair, I'll take that latter question first. Jamie might be able to comment on the place plan element, but in terms of that community safety income target, I've spoken to Martin Ogilvie about that. So we think there's a little bit of a timing error within that report. There was an original target of 50,000 income from parking fine charges, but that was suspended, and that element has now moved across to E&I, so we don't think that's been reflected within this current report. Martin's reassured me that the income target that he does have in terms of fly tipping, etc., is at 4,500 at the moment, against a target of 3,000. So I think it's just a bit of a technical detail there within the report that needs tidied up for next time, Councillor McFarlane.
Thank you. Jamie, would you like to add something?
Yeah, if I understand correctly, Councillor McFarlane, I think you're asking about the percentages around the completion of the kind of local place plans. Local place plans, as in a lot of work with local communities, can be difficult to put percentages on. You know, if it's a case of reporting incidents or something like that, you know, either it happens or it doesn't happen. And I suppose there's a kind of spectrum in terms of the development of local place plans. There's certainly a huge uptake of local place plans within the Stewartry. Local place plans are about communities really engaging with themselves, or groups in communities engaging with the local community around all aspects of what makes a place thrive, what makes it worth living in, what makes it worth working in. Everything from the green space in the community to transport, to volunteering, to employability opportunities, to opportunities for safe and sustainable transport, cycle routes, the whole thing. And you can imagine when community groups go through that kind of consultation and development of those plans, for some of them it can be a big undertaking. In fact, for all of them it can be a big undertaking, but I suppose dependent on the size of community, it's different for each place. There are stages that they go through, and the local place plans, once completed and through a kind of iterative process with officers and partners, those place plans may be registered by the local authority for consideration within local development plans. It's not the only reason, though, why communities develop their local place plans. It's to understand their priorities, hopefully to work with council officers and with partners and with funders to try and manifest some of the aspirations of the local community. So to put an exact figure on it, it's a wee bit of more of an art than a science when we come up with that figure. But we know that the local place plans, most of them are along that spectrum of development. So it's not a great answer, but it's the best I can offer.
Councillor McFarlane, do you want to reply?
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you for that, Jamie, and thanks, Stephen. Yeah, but just in relation to community councils, the figure of 71%, is that because there is training still to be done? Because, as I say, we have all our community councils in place now, as far as I'm aware. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor McFarlane. Yeah, linked to these indicators, there's normally milestones behind the system, if you like, and that could well be the case. I can double check, but I would think it would be, given that training's still live and ongoing, therefore it would affect the percentage progress, and that we're at the 6-month stage within this reporting cycle. So happy to double check, but I'm sure that's what the situation would be.
Thank you, Stephen. One moment, we've got someone wants coming online. Councillor Howie, can I check? Did you have your hand up?
Chair, I did, but I withdrew Councillor Young's response. Covered the point I wanted to raise.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Drysdale.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if this helps, but certainly there's one ward whereby 2 additional members have just been selected for a community council, so I don't know if that's why the stats are slightly different. Maybe you might be able to provide some clarity on that, Jamie or Stephen, but it could be that perhaps, and that's one thing I'm just thinking it could be. Thanks.
Okay, any further clarification from Jamie or Stephen on that point? Jamie?
Yeah, I think it could possibly be around that. It could be along the lines of that, you know, whether they're actually complete, the community councils. Could be, as Stephen says, around the training as well. But I think, as Stephen says, probably the best way is that we get the facts on that and maybe put it into a wee briefing and come back on it. I think that's what you were saying, Stephen.
Yes, if that's okay, Chair. Thank you.
Everybody satisfied? Any further questions, comments? Councillor Lowe.
Thank you. Page 68, 4th and 5th lines down. Number of young people attending youth work services region-wide, and then Stewartry. I'm not too sure. I think it's at about 15% of the population or something that we have. So we seem to be maybe underrepresentative in the number of people, number of young people attending youth work activities compared to where we maybe should be. Just wondering if that's a concern and what we can maybe do to encourage young people to be a bit more engaged with the activities.
Stephen, could you respond?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the question, Councillor. I think it might be, as I understand it, the core attendances within the Stewartry for youth work are good, and the team is happy with that. I think sometimes in terms of that indicator, it also incorporates some of the one-off, summer activities, for example. So I think there was a slight drop in those figures due to kind of weather-related type issues during the year, but that's captured within those figures. So I mean, I'm happy to speak to the youth work team to see how we can maximise youth work participation, but I know the team are quite happy and very proactive with that in the area, but we can see what else could be done. I'm happy to take that back.
Any further comments, Councillor Lowe, or from our youth council representatives? Fine. We'll move to recommendations. Number 1, review the 2024-2025 summary performance for the Stewartry area for 1st of April 2024 to the 31st December 2024 as set out in paragraphs 4.3 and 4.4 and appendix. Point 2, consider the area-based achievements and developments as detailed in the key achievements section of this report, paragraph 4.5.1 to 4.5.14, and 3, consider any aspects of performance to be referred to the relevant service committee. Are members happy to agree the recommendations? Thank you. Thank you, Stephen, also for your time this morning. Cheerio. Point 7. 2024 to 2025 assessment, 1st of April 2024 to the 30th December 2024 of Facilities, Waste and Neighbourhood Services Service Plan 2024 to 2025. Report by Interim Head Facilities, Waste and Neighbourhood Services. We now have the Facilities, Waste and Neighbourhood Service Performances Report covering the period of April to December 2024. Good to see that our communities are being consulted regarding their views on litter reduction and that plans for this are now getting underway. It's good also to get a brief update on the work jointly between the Council and our local communities to realise Phase 3 inclusive play parks, particularly in Dalbeattie and Gatehouse of Fleet. Nicola Simpson and Jennifer Scott are available via Microsoft Teams to answer members' questions and comments. Members, any comments? Councillor Lowe.
Thank you, Chair. I realised that the Garden Waste Service, so page 76 and 81 at the bottom there, are obviously very new services. I'm just wondering whether in future reports will build in the number of or the percentage uptake in each of the 4 areas of Dumfries and Galloway, just to ensure that that's reported to see that we're doing our best to advertise the service, or maybe where we need to try and upgrade the advertising. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a response from Jennifer or Nicola?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I can give some information on that at the moment, Councillor Lowe. Since the service has been started up, we've got 4,000 properties in the region have signed up to it, and from a Stewartry perspective I can advise that Castle Douglas and Crockett Ford have 307 participants, Dee and Glenkens 457 and Abbey Ward 361, and we certainly will break it down for members going forward if that is what's requested.
Councillor Lowe.
That's perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stitt.
Thanks, Chair. 4.5.3. Nicola, spoke to Karen Brown. I know Dalbeattie were struggling to get ground, but I believe some of the ground that's not suitable for burials might be getting used for caskets. Is there when will this strategy be finalised? Because I've been had 2 or 3 people inquiring still about burial sites in Dalbeattie, and also about the funding. Seeing Dalbeattie and Gatehouse Play Parks, it's got to explore funding options, but I thought there was money allocated to them by the Scottish Government. We need extra funding to get them off the ground.
Thank you, Councillor Stitt. Either Nicola or Jennifer able to respond?
Yes, regarding the burial strategy, what Councillor Stitt's referring to is actually just our normal sort of cemetery extension work, and we are still trying to source ground for Dalbeattie, and there is sites being tested at the moment. The testing process is very robust and involves several test holes being created and water permutation being assessed over a period of a year. So it's not a quick process. But we are looking at some alternative sites. There was one site we'd looked at previously which was deemed not to be suitable. There are some areas within the existing cemetery which is not suitable for full coffin interments, but may be useful for casket interments, and we are looking to develop a casket-only interment area there to provide that service to the public and to make use of all of the ground that's available to us. So that's still continuing on, and we're hopeful that we will get a site for Dalbeattie very shortly, and we'll update members obviously when we get to that point. Regarding the inclusive play, there was funding allocated by Scottish Government, as you rightly say, but what we've done with all the other play parks so far is communities have also raised additional funding to supplement that to create bigger and better parks for the communities. So it's that additional funding that we're working on just now with community groups.
That's fine, thanks Nicola. Cheers.
Thank you. Youth Councillor Stuart Walker.
Hello. For page 80 on item 22.1b, the extension of free school meals for all primary school children. I'm a bit confused and was wondering if this is just a mistake on the report, but it says the progress is at 0%, but it is on track. What exactly is going on there, if I might ask?
Okay. Nicola, Jennifer, are you able to provide a response?
Yes, Chair, I can provide a response to that one, and thank you, Stuart, for your question on there. At the time that the report was written up, the Scottish Child Payment for the primary 6 and 7 hadn't gone live. It did go live in February. I can provide a regional update on that, and to date we've had 264 applications, of which 155 of them have been assessed and are eligible and are now receiving the Scottish Child Payment free school meal option. Of the 109 that are left, some of those are duplicate applications, some are non-eligible, and some of them are already in receipt of the universal free school meals options, and the others are still to be assessed. Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Councillor Drysdale.
Thank you, Jennifer and Nicola, for the report and for your work with regards to the changing places toilets across the region, which are excellent, and also the inclusive play parks. I am going to speak with regards to the amount of inbox stress we receive as elected members with regards to page 74, the implementation and review of the litter reduction action plan. Now, I know the council's been really honest in that we're a wee bit delayed with this and it's coming forward, to which we are all extremely grateful. And I also want to make it quite clear that I do understand that we as a council are not responsible anymore for the A75, because that's under the remit of the Scottish Government, Amy and Transport Scotland. And I know that officers are having high-level talks through the Directorate with these organisations to ensure that we can try and improve the current situation on the A75. But I would really implore you, with regards to the questionnaire that's coming out, I know that should be completed by March 2025. I don't think I've set eyes on that yet, but I think within these community conversations, although we are talking about the roads and surrounding areas and litter collection in Dumfries and Galloway, you will get a lot of negatives about the A75. We all know that we've got people volunteering and being on the A75, which is putting their lives in danger. These are our constituents who we are obviously representing. And I find it really stressful that nothing is going forward with Amy and the Scottish Government with regards to litter reduction. And I'm really hoping that these conversations will take place and continue to happen. Personally, we're all sick to death of getting out in lay-bys. It's happened to me, lovely, last week coming back from a meeting, actually standing on human excrement. There's 7 bags hanging of human excrement at the lay-by just down from my home at the moment. I went out, you know, when you're pulling over to telephone conversations, it is really quite revolting, and I think our communities are sick to death of it. So if there's any way that these conversations can be pushed forward, because Amy and the Scottish Government and Transport Scotland need to start working harder with the hauliers and with regards to signage and the beautiful Keep Beautiful Scotland campaign, because quite frankly it's not happening and the situation is just getting worse and worse and worse. So whilst I totally accept you are trying your best for our own region, we need to make sure these conversations are exacerbated and pushed down up the chain, I would say, if that's possible. And I think it needs to be taken to the highest level possible at the moment, because in the budget we have removed the litter bins. They haven't gone yet, but between Gretna and Stranraer there are no toileting facilities for HGV drivers or drivers, so the situation is going to get worse and worse. So really appreciate your feedback on that and hope you don't mind me raising it in this meeting, but I think it's got to be addressed as soon as possible. Thank you very much both. Thank you, Chair.
I fully agree with Councillor Drysdale. I share her frustration and concerns over these issues, and that a way needs to be found to resolve them. Nicola, Jennifer, could you make any comment?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Drysdale. We do appreciate how emotive a subject this is, and it affects everybody in our region in some way or another. the A75 being a particular bone of contention, as you say. It's a bit of a strange anomaly that although the road and its maintenance falls under Transport Scotland, AME and others, litter does remain the responsibility of Dumfries and Galloway Council at the moment. And which is a strange one because it's the transport companies that cut the grass on the roadside verges, so you would think it would make more sense for them to litter pick at the same time, but that's always been the case, that it falls to the local authority. The difficulty we're having is that there's been changes in the level of training that's required for staff to operate on the side of the A75. And we've had some staff on a training programme, and we did attempt last year to do some litter picking on the A75 using extended traffic management arrangements. We're looking at that again to see how we can achieve that, and if we can work with our local roads teams to try and get that done. And in the meantime, we're trying to just at least keep on top of the lay-by situation, although by the sounds of things, Councillor Drysdale, the lay-by where you described needs some attention at the moment. We are about to start removing the bins as agreed in the budget recently, and working in a programme with staff to get that done. That we're also going to create signage for the lay-bys, encouraging people to take their litter home and to recycle it if possible. And we will be building in a programme of lay-by litter clearing going forward from that to make sure that they don't end up being an absolute mess or a worse mess than they are currently. So it's all huge things. We do agree as well about the road haulage companies, and they are on our list to have focus group meetings with as part of this consultation exercise for the litter reduction strategy, and suggest we'll discuss heavily with them, particularly around the A75, to see what can be agreed, or if they can contribute in some way to provision of, the large funnel bins, for example, might be an option in some of the larger lay-bys that frequently have several lorries parked up in them. We're also going to heavily engage with our schools and community groups as part of this process, and work with the young people as well to see if they can come up with any ideas for how we can improve the situation. So it's a huge piece of work we have started. The questionnaire is sort of 80% complete. We're just shortly going to be circulating it around our own teams to get feedback on the initial draft of it, and then we'll be getting that out there in sort of April, May time as part of the wider consultation. There will be a members' seminar held to feedback the information we've got from you and to get members' views at that time, culminating in a final report to committee in September. So we are keen to go on with this, and apologies, this has been a bit delayed, but we're certainly moving forward now with it.
We have Councillor Young, also Councillor McFarlane. Is your point related to Councillor Drysdale, or is it a separate point?
I was going to make a separate point, but it was really just to sort of reiterate that we as a council are the litter authority, as it were, so that's why it falls to us. But it was within our budget proposal that we lobby the Scottish Government in relation to them getting responsibility for it when Amy. Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Young.
Thank you, Chair, and also echo Councillor Drysdale's concerns. However, I was going to ask how the curbside battery collection service is proceeding. I know it's been completed in terms of putting it in place, but I wonder what the collection of batteries has been like. Thank you.
Do we have a response from Jennifer or Nicola? Nicola?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I can advise members that since September 2024, 2.9 tonnes of batteries have been collected via this scheme, which is a fair old pile, as you can imagine. Another interesting statistic around that, batteries cause problems in the MBT plant in the generation of hotspots or even indeed small fires. They call these activations. because obviously they have to require being addressed immediately when this happens. So since this has been in place and these batteries have been diverted from there, there's been a 40% reduction in activations at the MBT plant as well, which is another very good statistic from the implementation of this scheme.
Councillor Young, content with that response?
I'm content and very encouraging. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lowe.
Thank you, Chair. This is slightly returning to the litter, and pleased to see that you're going to be engaging through the schools. I've actually having some direct contact with the schools, particularly in Dalbeattie, because of some really localised issues, and through sort of the parent councils. And one of the things I'm actually going to do is actually ask for suggestions from the community. It isn't just young people at litter. I'm very well aware of that. We have tourists who just think it's okay to do it. We have adults who live locally who just think it's okay to litter. But I hope that we will be included in the conversations with schools, because some of us already have conversations going.
Jennifer, Nicola, any comment?
Yes, if members would wish to be notified of when we're doing engagement with schools, we'd be more than happy to do that, and then allow you to attend if you would so wish. Some of these might be done as online focus groups and some will be done in person. We haven't quite worked that level of detail out, and it'll depend on the availability at the schools as well. So, but not a problem at all to include elected members in those discussions.
Okay, thank you. Youth Councillor Stuart Walker.
Hello again. I was just wondering that if, when these focus groups are being held out, all the information regarding them could also be sent out to our youth council representatives, as I feel that that would be a good opportunity for some of them to learn and develop their skills, or to in some way signpost these opportunities to our constituents. Thank you.
Yes, we'd be more than happy to do that as well. I've made a note of that here. We'll do that.
Thank you. Are there any final comments, questions? No, we'll move to recommendations. Number 1, review the 2024-2025 summary performance for the Stewartry area for 1st of April 2024 to the 31st December 2024, as set out in paragraphs 4.3 and 4.4 and appendix. 2, consider the area-based achievements and developments as detailed in the key achievements section of this report, paragraph 4.5.1 to 4.5.10. And 3, consider any aspects of performance to be referred to the relevant service committee. Are we happy with those recommendations? Good. Can we thank Nicola and Jennifer for your participation? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Item 8. 2024 to 2025 assessment, 1st of April 2024 to the 30th of December 2024 of Transport and Infrastructure Service Plan 2024 to 2025, report by Interim Assistant Director, Transport and Infrastructure. We now have the Transport and Infrastructure Service Plan 2024 to 2025 report from 1st of April to 31st December 2024. The report states that there are no performance measures specific to the Stewartry area and that any comments or requests from this meeting will be taken back to the Economy and Infrastructure Committee for consideration. Having said that, there is some useful local information around the implementation of the 20 miles per hour speed limit in Dalbeattie and Castle Douglas. Do members have any questions or comments on these or other items in the report? Tony Topping is available via Microsoft Teams to answer members' questions and comments. Members, any comments? Councillor Lowe.
Thank you. I just like to ask how much we tie together everything that's going on with our roads. So we are looking at parking. We have a number of traffic regulation orders and management orders going through at the moment. And sometimes the response I'm getting back from queries is, we will look at that when. So we might not, we might look at something for the 20 mile an hour, but it seems to be that one thing is waiting for the other. And I'm just wondering how we can tie together to ensure that if we've got to do urgent stuff, for example, a really bad a corner where a bin lorry can't turn, that we're not holding things back to make sure that we keep our roads safe.
Tony, are you able to provide a response?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and morning, everyone. In response to that, yes, obviously as the team leader for network strategy and road safety, under my remit, I have parking, speed limits, road safety and active travel. So yes, you are correct that we do have to prioritise our workload. There is obviously, as you're aware, a lot of work on parking at the moment, the implementation of for decriminalised parking enforcement. But at the same time, the parking team will also assess requests for waiting restrictions, and a big part of that recently has been to do with the refuse lorries getting access to certain roads and streets in and around the region. So, whilst they're all very important and relevant, when we do have to drop on to do traffic regulation orders for waiting restrictions, that is taking obviously resources away from other aspects. The good thing is that because I control sort of road safety, speed limits, active travel and parking, I can, if there's certain things, I can maybe move staff to focus on other areas for a week or so. Generally, I have dedicated teams that are working on the 20 mile an hour speed limits, dedicated on parking and dedicated for road safety. But the good thing is that we all work together. We're all aware of what each other's doing. There is that interaction between us. So I can say that there is that sort of collaborative working within these various things, and I think that's why all these various aspects of roads is within my team and under my remit. So yeah, occasionally I might give a response to say, well, it's maybe not, that waiting restriction is not a high priority. There's been no accidents there. There's no request from the police or from the waste team that it's needed. And at times we do have to say, some of these issues are matters for the police to deal with. They're enforcement issues. So I hope that answers your query.
Councillor Lowe.
Thank you. Obviously, you've just picked up because obviously we've been liaising on one particular junction. Yeah, I'm happy with that as long as the concerns that we raise along the way that maybe don't need to be dealt with now, like particular junctions, are considered at the right time.
Tony? Oh, sorry, Councillor Howie.
Thank you, Chair. Tony, is there a national perspective regarding the lack of enforcement by Police Scotland of 20 mile an hour limits? It's just it's an argument may well be that you're better staying with 30 because at least there's a prospect of them being enforced, where if Police Scotland have categorically said they will not enforce 20 mile an hour limits. Is this something which has been discussed at a national level?
Tony, could you provide a response?
Yep, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Councillor Howie. It has been discussed, yes, and I can confirm that the police do state that they do have to prioritise their resources, a bit like the council. They only have so many roads policing officers and resources in terms of vehicles, motorcycles, etc. So they have their own sort of criteria for enforcement. I'm actually in the process of writing a report for E&I committee on the rollout of 20 mile an hour schemes, and I will be doing a section in there on enforcement. We can also discuss this. I'm planning to meet with both Castle Douglas and Dalbeattie ward members in the next week or so. I'm just waiting on authorisation for the events, so I'll be able to discuss this more in detail with the respective members for each for each location. But as I say, Police Scotland, they definitely have their own remit. They were consulted as part of the national strategy for 20-mile-an-hour speed limits. So I can only say that they have been on board with it, but at times they are maybe limited in what they can provide in terms of tactical options on the ground to assist with enforcement and compliance. Thank you.
May I have a follow-up, Chair?
Councillor Halley, please go ahead.
Do you ever envisage a time when the enforcement of urban speed limits will come down to the council, just like now we've got DPE powers? Is that something which is on anyone's horizon?
Just to answer that one through you, Chair, I'm not 100% sure. All I know at the moment is that for statutory offences such as parking offences, that's obviously through decriminalised parking enforcement. I'm not aware of any other local authority, either in Scotland or nationally, that have those powers. I do know there's certain groups or initiatives where communities use handheld speed camera devices. I think this is mainly down in England. But again, it's non-enforceable. It's just something they do. It's like an initiative to target people that are maybe speeding in 20-mile-an-hour areas. It's something I can definitely discuss with the police at my next meeting with them, but I'm not aware of anything at the moment.
Thank you. Councillor Drysdale.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks, Tony. It was just a couple of quick questions. I appreciate roads and the management of roads change all the time with regards to weather and incidents and things, so it does make it challenging. However, with regards to the 20-mile-an-hour rollout, I totally accept that it was agreed, I think, at Economy and Infrastructure Committee that it was going to be those schools, villages with schools on the frontage. I think that was correct. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But now this rollout, we obviously see Dalbeattie and Castle Douglas next on the list, which is totally acceptable. And again, I do understand the time this takes, and you come back to consult with ourselves and the community councils as in the report. But often we find as councillors, there's one town in our ward, village rather, and one village in the east who have got a huge amount of HGV transport, wind farm vehicles, timber transport and large agricultural vehicles. How can we as elected members help to push those two villages forward? And if not, can I respectfully ask that we could have some, I know it's difficult for you to pin it down, Tony, but some kind of timeline as to when those two villages might be targeted? Is that the right word? No, probably not, but I think you know what I mean. Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair.
Can I just also add, in terms of Ward 3, that within those community councils, there are some villages that have raised the same issue. And so, Tony, any response would be really appreciated.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Drysdale, for your question. So, yes, after it was December 2021, Communities Committee, it was agreed that the sort of the prioritisation list, and at that time we agreed to complete the schools programme. At that time, there was still 24 primary schools that still had 30-mile-an-hour speed limits. So over the last few years, my team were focusing on the schools programme. So we weren't just looking at the roads and streets outside the school, we were looking at the villages as a whole. So those villages like Gelston, Bridekirk, Cullen, that were all done. So instead of just doing the roads, we did the whole village, because obviously the children and the parents would be walking or cycling to school from around the village. So that was completed. At the same time, we tried to then do the communities programme. Now that's the programme based on the 17 largest towns in the region, and we've been working our way through that. We're just about to do, we've just done Lockerbie recently, and Castle Douglas and Dalbeattie next on the list. And also for your area, Kirkcudbright's 10th on the list, so that'll be getting started probably in the summer as well. Back in 2021, there was something raised. You will remember that we did say we would try and look at the villages on timber transport routes. Now, just through resourcing, really, that we had to focus on the schools. With them, we were under pressure to work on the large areas. We've done Stranraer, Annan, Lockerbie, moving on to the larger settlements. We did start a desktop study into looking at some of the rural villages on timber transport and HGV routes, and that did include the likes of Crossmichael. So that's something I'm keen to progress with again this year. And the reason for that is that Transport Scotland are going to be allocating us some money for funding for us to progress with 20-mile-an-hour speed limits. So if I can't utilise the money within my own team, we will look at some external resources to assist. And I think we will go back to pick this up again, the timber transport HGV routes, and come up with a prioritisation method that we can maybe start to look at speed reduction features and maybe 20 miles an hour in some of these villages as well. So I hope that answers your question, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. That's really helpful, Tony, and it's most reassuring for those two particular villages. So I'll report that back, and I'm most grateful for the feedback that you've given me just now. Thank you.
Yep. Councillor Lowe, did you have a question or comment? No? Okay. Oh, I just thought you were listed as a speaker. In that case, if there are no further questions or comments, we'll move to recommendations. Number 1, review the 2024-2025 summary performance for the Stewartry area for 1st of April 2024 to 31st December 2024, as set out in paragraphs 4.3 and 4.4 and appendix. 2, consider the area-based achievements and developments as detailed in the key achievements section of this report, paragraph 4.5.1, and 3, consider any aspects of performance to be referred to the relevant service committee. Everybody happy to agree and approve? Thank you for your time, Tony. Number 9, 2024 to 2025 assessment, 1st of April 24 to 31st December 2024 of Economy Environment Service Plan 2024 to 2025, report by Head of Economy and Environment. We now have the Economy and Environment Service Plan 2024 to 2025 report. This is again a detailed report with a great deal of information specific to our area. It's good to hear about the progress around the Dalbeattie Rocks and Wheels project, who are one of 3 projects across the region which are part of the UK Levelling Up Fund, and round 2 reactivating Galloway project. It's also good to see detail on the strategic housing investment plan work, with partners on housing development moving forward for our area, including the completed work at Springholm and other works in progress. This is a wide-ranging update report, and I'll turn it over to members for questions and comments. Jamie Little is available on Microsoft Teams to answer members' questions and comments. Members, any comments? Councillor Stitt.
Thanks very much, Chair. I just mentioned about the Rocks and Wheels there. It did start on site on the 2nd of December 2024. They've had a couple of wee snagging problems, but hopefully they're going to get back on track to hopefully have it completed for January 2026. And also, just a wee comment, I'd actually like, Jamie was there that day, and I think Councillor Lowe was as well. We get invited to view the new Landau Fewart Place at Springholm with Wheatley Group. Can I just say it is complimentary to Wheatley Group with their finished product. It was just nice to see houses that had actually 2 parking spaces outside their main doors. And just to follow up, Jamie, I see it's still got Port Road, Dalbeattie there. Is there an update on that? Is it still ongoing though, with flooding problems?
Thank you. Jamie, are you able to respond?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Councillor Stitt, just for the query on Port Road. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Jamie, I don't know if you're on mute or if your volume's very low. Are you able to turn up your volume? Yep. I think it's your side with your microphone.
Can you hear me now?
No, it's very faint. The sound is very faint.
I don't know if it's headphones.
That's better. Thank you. We can hear you now. So please go ahead, Jamie.
Okay. Yeah, so just on Port Road, the work to identify a solution just to the issues under the road with the culvert there are ongoing, and we are seeking regular updates from our flood risk management team. The most recent update is that they're still progressing those design works at this stage, and they hope to have an update back to us over the coming months. It is a project, obviously, we're looking to progress as swiftly as possible, but the matters regarding the culvert to ensure that that area is suitable for development are still ongoing.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? Councillor Howie.
Morning, Jamie. Page 94, 4.5.3.3. It's to do with acquisition of land, I believe, in the Oakwell Road area of Castle Douglas. The council will continue to seek a negotiated acquisition of the site in parallel with the CPO process. Do we have any update on that at all, Jimmy? How negotiations are getting on with that site?
Jamie, if you could respond.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Councillor Howie. So, not directly involved in this, but prior to the meeting, I did ask Stuart McMillan for an update, and he had nothing in particular to advise just on this process. So, nothing further. But I'll take this away and ask Stuart to provide members with a further update.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Okay, Councillor Drysdale.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Jamie, for your prompt responses on various issues recently, and well done on the latest developments, because they're all absolutely fantastic, and there's a lot of happy tenants, so thank you for that. Just with regards to page 93, the SCAMP project, we've been hearing a lot in the press about the percentage of waste being found on beaches across the UK. All of our coastal areas are affected, and we see that when we do, people are involved in litter picks, the percentage of items that are thrown off fishing boats, etc. During that project, the marine project, are we able to use some of those monies to speak to the local fishing companies and boats, both I suppose in Ireland, Isle of Man and here, to make sure that they are disposing of their waste properly? Thanks, Jamie.
Thanks, Councillor Drysdale. That's a query I'll need to take away for Simon Fieldhouse just to pick up. So I'll speak to Simon and get a response to you on that one.
Okay, thank you. No further questions or comments? We'll move to recommendations. Number 1, review the 2024-2025 summary performance for the Stewartry area for 1st of April 2024 to the 31st December 2024, as set out in paragraphs 4.3 and 4.4 and appendix. Number 2, consider the area-based achievements and developments as detailed in the key achievements sections of this report, paragraph 4.5.1 to 4.5.9, and 3, consider any aspects of performance to be referred to the relevant service committee. Everyone happy with those recommendations? Jamie, thank you for your time. Number 10, Stewartry Area Discretionary Budget Monitoring Report 2024 to 2025, report by Head of Thriving Communities. We now have the Discretionary Budget Monitoring Report, which provides information from the groups receiving discretionary budget funding from this committee. It is useful to see the pictures of events accompanying the performance information. A huge range of activities are detailed in the appendix, detailing the impact these funds have made within local communities in our area. I'd like to welcome Sean O'Toole. who is available to answer members' questions and comments. Members, any comments? Councillor Lowe.
I suppose I should have made a slight declaration, but actually being a trustee of the Sports Council, I would just like us to note the value that over years this sports fund has put in, and the number of achievements that we are now getting from people, not just young people, at national level and at Olympic level. And I hope it's something that we never lose, that we continue to support people starting out in the sport and people wanting to progress in their sport.
Sean, would you like to respond?
Thank you, Chair. No, completely concur with Councillor Lowe's comments there and fully supportive of it. I think, you know, it's of note that especially through the you know, a picture tells 1,000 words, and maybe not particularly in relation to the sports, which I know does have huge achievements, but we can see a good spread of achievements there just through the access to the fund that the communities have as a whole. Thank you, Chair.
One of our youth councillors, Stuart Walker.
I just wanted to note, even if this isn't particularly related to the budget as of in here, the year on year we keep on mentioning about trying to save money and be more environmentally friendly. Perhaps it might be worth attempting to make some of the report feature less coloured ink or having it take up less space, as I feel that that might be quite expensive to keep printing out for all of our copies, and it won't be of any detrimental value to those viewing it online, as of course they can zoom in on a screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Sean, did you want to comment?
As a conscientious person, I fully agree with the young councillor's comments there. Yeah, I can certainly take that back to governance as a point, that maybe the coloured photos, maybe that element of the report is only digitally shared rather than printed. But yeah, a very good point indeed that I'm happy to take back.
Okay, Councillor Stitt.
I'll come in a wee bit there. Maybe I agree with Stuart in certain ways about the colour photos, but years ago, Stuart, when we were doing reports in this, especially Sports Council, I got brought up one day that our report wasn't big enough or give enough explanation on it. So maybe that's how a lot of the reports now have got more written explanation on them.
Thank you for that comment, Councillor Stitt. Councillor McFarlane.
Yeah, thank you. And I would agree with Stuart in relation to the photos, but clearly a lot of the information we've been given today is about performance, and it is colour coded, and clearly we'll have to take into account the ability of people's individually to be able to see it. We do have sort of certain members who require different coloured paper and such like, so we have to be mindful of any sort of disability they might have. But I think in relation to performance we do need the colours, but in relation to photos, no, we don't. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for those valid comments. Sean, do you have any further comment, or anybody else, any of the members have any comments? If there's no further questions or comments, oh, we do. Councillor McFarlane.
Yeah, Sean, perhaps you can assist me. As I went through this last night, I was looking at the amount of money that we were allocating and who was benefiting. And notwithstanding what my colleague has said in relation to Church Sports Council, it does seem a disproportionate amount of money.
Which page are you
Sorry,
referring
on
to,
page
Councillor
109, the very first page of the actual report. The amount of money does seem disproportionate to the amount of beneficiaries. Is that accurate? Are we really talking about 24 individuals and 3 clubs, or how many people are in the clubs, just to sort of get a context of that. Thanks.
Thank you. Can you comment on that, Sean?
Thank you, Chair. Councillor, is that in relation to the Stewartry Sports Council? I think that's, yeah. I don't know the detail of that other than we have in front of members today, but I can certainly get a more detailed update from the Stewartry Sports Council on that one and provide that, circulate that to members. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. I'd appreciate that because it's also the smallest report that we've got, but it's the largest amount of money. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Stitt.
I'll come in here and answer that as Chair of Sports Council. It might be a short report. I know it's 24 individuals, 1 club, but there is a better report I've sent to Caroline Gordon that breaks it down to every sport that we sponsor, whether it's cycling, curling, etc. And that is a comprehensive report I have sent to Caroline Gordon. So that might be available if members want it. I don't know if you've got access to that, Sean, but Caroline Gordon's got it because I broke down everything, how it came to what we spent. It was 8,300 one year, and I think it was 7,000 plus in my last financial year. And I think it might be short, but they could have put it all down, but then maybe it just took 2 or 3 pages because it's quite a comprehensive report I have to fill in as chair.
Thank you for that update, Councillor Stitt. Are there any further questions or comments before we move to recommendations? Number 1, note performance monitoring information from projects, initiatives that receive support from the Stewartry Area Committee discretionary budget in 2024-25, detailed in the appendix. 2, note that a significant number of citizens have benefited from the delivery of 34 local projects, initiatives, and £49,381.52 was awarded to projects and initiatives in the local Stewartry area. And 3, agree to close the remaining open funds and carry forward the remaining balance of £4,805 or amount at time of closing from the 2024 to 2025 discretionary budget as outlined in paragraph 4.6. Sean, thank you for your participation this morning. Item 11, any other business deemed urgent by the Chair due to the need for a decision. I have no further business, so that concludes the meeting. Could I thank you all for your contributions? And I believe lunch is being provided. So the day is lovely weather outside, so enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.